Thanks, Joe. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
A great day. I say that a lot. It was a great day. It was about half and half with scripted periods, and then the second half of it was just football. It was some good in the field drives. We got into some third down to fourth down, go for it. We had a 2-minute all plays that the intent right now is to just continue to increase the volume of play to play snaps for the guys, especially for the offensive line who stays out there for the whole drive. You're rotating kind of the other groups, but it was great work. I mean, I could feel it for sure. Just after the practice, I was like a little bit punchy because it's just one drive after the next, but just working the different scenarios. We all need it. The players need to hear it so they can kind of expect what's coming. The coaches need it, so we're in communication. Like, what have we called? What do we need to get to? All those things working at full tilt today. So it was a fantastic day, and the guys really responded well.
It seemed like the offense was extremely high energy today.
Yeah.
Anything you said to them beforehand or what you saw observed out there?
Really, I just challenge both sides. I don't question the work ethic of this group. I don't question the focus, the intentionality. This is a very professional group. And just for me, it's like as we play these games, the energy, the juice has to come from you. It has to come from us celebrating each other. As we travel around, you don't count on the fans in the stadium. You're in a visiting stadium to create the energy that we need for each other. But we always have each other, whether we're home or away. We always have each other. And so that was my challenge, and they responded. Again, like we've been saying, every challenge that I've brought up to the group, they've responded positively. And so this was just football's supposed to be fun, boys. It's such a good time. Look what we get to do. We had a perfect day. It was like in the, mid-low 70s with a breeze. I mean, I felt like I'm back home in Carson, California for a little bit. It was unbelievable, the whole thing, So just wanting to feel it and really cherish these moments together.
The run game seemed to be particularly successful today. What does Damian Lewis bring in that aspect of running the ball?
Yeah, that's what he does. That's why D-Lou's here. It's to bring that power. You talk about energy, right? He comes off the ball with a purpose. And so when he's in there, it does elevate the whole group, and you have guys that way that really impact the different units that we have.
Was Adam on a vet day or?
Yeah, Adam, we just, for Adam, it's like we had a great day for him yesterday. He's running around. We just wanted to, this was kind of in the works, planned all along. And so we took advantage of that day. He'll be back out there rolling tomorrow.
Same with Moten.
Yes. So, and he started off the practice, and then it was the same deal. Now, he was scheduled to really, have this day to recover, and he decided he wanted to get a little bit of work in, and then we just tailored him off as we got into team periods.
Dave, last week you said that you would like, if it all worked out, an opportunity to get your guys, first and second teamers, to go through the pregame routine or game day routine.
Yeah.
Is that still in the back of your mind?
Yes, I would love to. Again, this was like really the two high practices back to back. So we have to talk. I'll talk with Dan, and I'll talk with Andrew Altoff, who's our performance director, and we'll all get our heads together and say, how does this group look going into another practice, a walkthrough, and then the game? How do we feel about this group going in and doing it? And so it feels pretty good right now, but I want to make sure we do our due diligence and talk about the group as a whole before we make that decision.
You've kind of used Brady basically everywhere.
Yeah.
What's the luxury in having a guy who could be kind of a true sixth man to the offensive line?
Yeah, it's a blessing for us, to be able to, as different guys have kind of missed a little bit of time in different positions, to be able to see him. The flip side of it is, what I would love is to just let Brady settle in, to a couple spots instead of having the ability to play all five. Doesn't mean you really necessarily should, because there's reps, there's time on task, and so as we go forward, really honing in on our group and saying, okay, where does Brady help us most?
Which spots would those be to see him settle in on?
I'd really like to see him just like guard and tackle, and if you could, it's like play on one side, because it changes when you start flipping sides, but the fact that he can do it is a huge blessing for us, and has been this camp.
When you see a guy, obviously in this league, if you're like a swing tackle or like a swing guard, you want guys to be able to play both sides, but when you see a guy who's particularly good on one side and struggling on another, how do you handle that, and how much do you weigh that when you're making roster decisions of who will be up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. All guys have a dominant side. They all do. And so the guys who can swing one side to the next, they're typically working on a side sometimes they're not most comfortable with. And at times, I've seen over the years where, when your starting unit gets a little bit messed up, can the starter flip better than, say, your third tackle? And we've done that in the past in different places, in Seattle a couple different times.
Hey, Coach, regarding the fringe players,
Yeah.
On defense, what does T.J. Smith and Michael Barrett have to show on Saturday?
Really, it's not hinging on one game. It's the full camp body. They've both done a great job. Michael Barrett has done everything we've asked of him. His college career certainly speaks for itself. This is a really good football player. That's why he's here. T.J. Smith has shown some versatility, and he's been really useful for us. He's showed it in practice. He showed it in games. He adds a little element of pass rush in the interior. So two guys that have really, made a statement for themselves for us here.
Dave, this is going to be the first time that you're going to be kind of overseeing, I know it's a conversation, these final roster cuts.
Yeah.
How tough are you finding some of those decisions?
Yeah, it's hard. I'm excited for it, and I think that when you respect and regard the whole unit, and you're kind of bringing everybody up at the same time with the teaching, with the practices, the drill work, and all those things, as we improve everyone, it makes the decisions harder and harder. So I'm really excited about doing this with Dan, with Brant, with the coaching staff, to be able to as we've had our kind of like touch points throughout camp, to evaluate where we're at right now, and then we'll have that culmination, after we get through this last game.
What about what you saw in Trevin Wallace before the draft has sort of translated onto the field?
Yeah, speed sideline to sideline. Definitely seeing that. Even in the first preseason game, there was a long reception on the left sideline, on the Patriots sideline, and Trevin, ran it down, knocked the guy out at the 3-yard line. What a huge play. I've seen over the years where if you can just give us one more shot, we got a chance to get the ball back, knock the ball out on a run play, stop them on 3 downs, interceptions, different things like that can happen inside the 5 if you just give us one more chance. That's where the strain and effort and the finish really comes in, and that's an example of who he is.
Dave, how did Terrace respond to your talk with him following the Jets practice?
Oh, he was great. I told him I love seeing the edge. You can still have an edge without the disrespect, and that's really just talking about like take your attention to our guys, celebrate with our teammates, with us, and that's what I talked to the group about before the practice was, hey, we are not going to disrespect the Jets. We are not going to fight. We're not going to do these things. We are going to celebrate with each other. We're going to recognize good Panthers football, and we're going to get excited about that. And so that was just a follow-up on that, and he was great. He was great about it, and he responded well. He understood. He was kind of in his emotions right there, and he came back and finished, had another touchdown on the other side, spun the ball on the ground, and went and found his guys. Like, that's us. That's how we do it. So he responded great.
And his performance since then over the past several days?
Fantastic, consistent. Every day there's a big play Terrace Marshall's a part of, screaming across the field, a vertical outside, just different ways that he's really shown us the ability and really the growth that he's had, over the last couple of years.
When it comes to a guy like Terrace, who's been here, do you just evaluate what you've seen in preseason games this year and camp this year, or do you look at tape from previous seasons?
Yeah, it's the whole thing, right? Because I have to catch up on his history. And that's what I spent a lot of time in January, was evaluating the roster as it stood and watching the guys that have put things on film for us, and really saying, okay, who do we have right now? Where are they at? And then what's their next step? And it's Rob Moore creating a plan for each guy. What's the next step for this guy? Whether it's a veteran, like Thielen or Deontay, all the way through the whole depth chart really is, what is this player's next step? And that's what we ask. We're a developmentally minded coaching staff, and our whole goal is to just help all of these guys take the next step in their career with things that can improve upon.
I apologize if you've addressed this, but I heard you reference yesterday that the installs have been in now for a few weeks.
Yeah.
You were crafting the plan for camp.
Yeah.
What was the thought behind when you wanted to have that done and what it allows you to do?
It's pretty consistent the way that we've done it for a number of years. This probably goes back 10 years, where we said, let's have the installs give them a look at what our core of our offense and defense is. Let's let them see that, know the words, because again, the best way for us to evaluate our players is if they're playing fast. The only way for players to play fast is if they know what they're doing. So if we can keep those installs tight, it allows them to show us their ability. Then after that first wave of camp, then we start getting into, like we talked about yesterday, is here's how we can represent this play with a new personnel, a new formation. It could be empty. It could be multiple players in the backfield, different ways to get the same concepts. And that's really how you get good at things, is as we find who we are, we take those things and we just present them differently week in and week out.
Dave, when you guys bring people in short notice, like the offensive linemen last week, the corners this week, how involved do you get with kind of catching guys up, or is that strictly position coach?
Oh, that's position coach, because we're talking about like above and beyond just the availability of what I'm able to do, and the good part is we have our assistant coaches, and then we have also our quality control coaches who can kind of help, so that nobody gets left behind, and it's just like, okay, well, this guy needs a little bit extra work here or there to be able to bring them up to speed, especially if they show up the day before a game,
Even thinking back to last year when you were in Tampa, were there times when guys came in short notice and kind of had to play a role quick? What do you remember about working guys through that adjustment?
I can't remember too much as far as Tampa goes. It was such a quick year as far as bringing guys in to help you right away. We were fortunate. We had a pretty young, strong team, so we were fortunate to have guys available for the most part. But we've been in situations like this before, particularly in camp, where you get something that might be like a 7 or 10 day injury and you just missed the preseason game. You need people, So, and I just honestly, we've found players that have come in and done a great job of absorbing the information for the game plan. It tells you something about them, about their ability, because really, when you get into the season, although our plays don't change drastically, there are a few wrinkles, so the guys that can reset their brains week to week, that's valuable.
Hey, we do one more question.
Hey, Coach, Sheardon got a few touches today.
Yeah.
Number one, why him over Johnson, and could we see him at flanker?
Not a flanker. He did a great job today. Fresh legs. Yeah, he's fresh legs. He'd been away from us for, a couple of days. We got him back, and he knows the plays, so he understands what we're trying to get done, and he did a great job today. So we're looking forward to seeing him, too, on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thank you.